whenever you are ready, good sir.
From downtown Dallas to a cabin on the coast, from the shadow of the towers to the sun in Ohio, from the bottom of a bottle to the palazzo, who knows where the road goes? From the Blackfoot River to White Sands, New Mexico, from Salt Lake City to my honey in Tupelo, from the barroom floor to the bardo, who knows where the road goes? Oh, you could have died that day, back when you thought none of this was worth it, when you thought everything was broken. Oh, you didn't know yet. Someday you'd watch this big green river flow. Who knows where the road goes? From the Great Divide to the Gulf of Mexico, from the underpass to the private bungalow, from the Grand Hotel to the one in Psycho, who knows where the road goes? I'm so glad you decided to stick around. I'm so glad you decided to stick around. But look what you found. Look at all the beautiful things you found. You could have died that day, back when you thought none of this was worth it, when you thought everything was broken. You didn't know yet. Someday you'd watch this big green river flow. Who knows where the road goes? Who knows where the road goes?
You've been listening to Rhett Miller of the Old 97's live on the home stretch on KXCI. Old 97's in town tonight on the eve of the release of their 13th album, American Primitive. They will be playing on the Plaza at Congress this evening. Welcome back, Rhett.
Hi, Hannah. It's great to see you.
You too. What a perfect time for you to come to Tucson and play on the Plaza.
It's so beautiful.
Oh, my goodness. You're going to have an amazing show tonight. I just know it.
And this whole complex, I mean, the Hotel Congress with all the history here, you guys being located right here. I feel like if I lived in Tucson, I'd be parked outside listening to the station, watching you work.
Yeah. It's great. We love having this sort of boots on the ground element for the community, but also especially touring artists. I love that, you loaded in your hotel rooms here, you've got it all right here. You could even have breakfast here if you wanted to.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations on the new album.
Thank you so much. Tomorrow. I can't believe it. Finally.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the sound going on here. I feel like it's a very classic sounding record to me, and maybe that's where the title came from, but you definitely have almost this rootsy garage rock kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, my band, I keep thinking we're going to transform into some more dignified, older
Right.
version of
The
ourselves.
dad rock transition hasn't
Yeah.
happened yet.
Like, at what point are we going to sit on stools and bring in like a bunch of extra musicians to play strings and pedal steel? And we've had things like that on records before. But, I had 40 songs going into this record, and we could have made like 3 very distinct albums. And the one we made is the one that I should have known we would make, because we are at heart a big, dumb garage band making caveman rock, regardless of how old we are. And
Yeah.
there are, like, that song I just played for y'all that's sort of an epic ballad. There's moments on the record that, are exceptions to the rule, but in general, this record is a big, dumb garage record.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. You're quite good at operating within that vernacular. I take issue with the dumb, though, because you're you're a fantastic writer. You really are.
Thanks.
And as I mentioned before you started playing, you aren't just a songwriter, but you're a writer. You're good with the words in lots of different contexts.
Thanks.
Do you, it seems, I assume since you have a Substack going, that you must have 2 parts of your heart and brain that need to be fed as a songwriter and as a writer of essays. Do you feel like there's overlap there, or are they 2 different arenas of expression for you?
There's definitely overlap. I feel like the credits transfer. But, it's funny, the expression violent ambivalence is one of those that sounds like an oxymoron. But, I mean, I've always felt that about music and writing, prose. And when I put out a record in high school, and then I got a scholarship to go off and do creative writing at Sarah Lawrence, which at the time was the best creative writing school in America or whatever. And I lasted 1 semester before I realized, music is now. I feel like I can write at any point in my life, and it's not something you necessarily learn. I'm sure there's a lot of great teachers out there, but I figured I could transition to prose later in life. And it's tough because music is such a fun job, and I love it. But I have done more and more writing, and it's definitely something I see, taking over a larger percentage of my creative mind as I get older and older and older.
Yeah. I can certainly understand. I mean, rock and roll is going to be more seductive than academia to a young man. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I can see how that would happen. I would love to hear another song and chat with you a little bit more. Are you ready for number 2 here?
Absolutely. This one is a song called Magic.
All right. You're listening to Rhett Miller of the Old 97's live on the home stretch on KXCI.
Out in the forum, they fandango and they fight, and I'm trying to ignore them, but they keep me up all night. These cigarettes are lazy, they're killing me so slow. If you're here to save me, well, you better hurry up, 'cause I'm spinning out of control. I believe you when you say there's magic in the air, there's magic in the air. Love will figure out a way to drive away despair. There's magic. A New Year's Day is dawning, a chance to start again. And there's folks I should be calling, my failures and my friends. Oh, but God, I feel so lonely. In my soul, I'm so alone. If you're here to show me something, hurry up and do it quick. 'Cause here's the trick, I'm turning to stone. I believe you when you figure out a way to drive away despair. There's magic. Why would you lie about something so true? I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. I don't know how you made yourself disappear, but now I'm looking for you. I keep on looking for you. I believe you when you say, oh, there's magic in the air. There's magic in the air. Love will figure out a way to drive away despair. There's magic. I believe you when you say there's magic in the air. There's magic.
You're listening to the Old 97's Rhett Miller live in the studio here on KXCI's home stretch. The Old 97's in town this evening and on the eve of the release of their 13th record, American Primitive. They will be playing on the Hotel Congress Plaza this evening. Show at 7. Opening band is Holler Choir. Again, thanks so much for taking the time to come in. It's great to have you back
Thanks,
here.
not only for having me, but thanks for doing what you do, because the eclectic selection of music that you guys play and the attention to detail that you give, the passion is evident, and I really appreciate it. That's rare in this world and in this industry, so thank you.
I want to ask you more about that in 1 second, actually, but I want to hear a little bit about your current creative community. You live in the Hudson Valley, and I don't actually know a lot about that, but I just would imagine if you've called that place your home, there must be many reasons for that. What's it like to live there as an artist right now?
So it's about an hour and a half north of Manhattan, but I live in the mountains. I live at the base of the Shawangunk mountain range, and it's a really great place to live and raise kids. And I do have a group of musicians and writers. There's actually a lot of novelists that live up there. But I don't really do a lot up there creatively. I usually drive to JFK and get on an airplane and fly off somewhere.
Yeah.
I have recently been doing some songwriting retreats up in the Catskill Mountains nearby. I actually came this year, a couple of months ago. I came out to Arizona State University and did like a 4-day visiting artist songwriting thing with them, and that was incredible. That's the Hirschberger School of Performing Arts, and that's an incredible school, and that's something I want to do more of. But like, my little hometown is just a little college town, SUNY New Paltz. It's the artsiest of all the SUNYs, which is State University of New York schools. Like one day, I remember during Admitted Students Week, I saw a teenager walking down the street with his elderly father, and I recognized the dad as Rick Ocasek from The Cars.
Shut up.
Yeah. So I yelled out my window. I rolled my window down. My kids are in the car with me, and I yelled out my window. I was like, "Rick Ocasek, you rock!" And he pumped his fist, and his son just buried his face in his hands because he was mortified. But so it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be from. But like, I don't do a lot of gigs around there. I'll play up in Woodstock every once in a while, or down at Daryl's house. Daryl Hall is a venue about an hour from my house. But I go to New York City. It's an hour and a half away.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad you brought up the songwriting workshops. It seems like between that and you used to have a podcast that you did, or was it limited?
Still do.
So, you're still doing it. Okay, Wheels Off.
About to hit the 200th episode.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And that is an examination of the creative process through the prism of different disciplines, right?
Yeah.
You're just talking to people about how they arrive at their creative space. It seems like you have a fascination with methodology, and practicum when it comes to creativity.
Yeah, you would think that for somebody that threw away a full scholarship to college, and I within my family famously anti-organized institutional education. My kids are always pointing to me when they threaten to drop out of school, and my wife is wishing I wasn't this person that I am. But I really do believe in what you're talking about, like the idea of a community and the idea that we all have something to learn from each other, and that shining a light on the process and demystifying it. Like the retreats I do and some of the stuff I've written employs the phrase songwriting is magic. And I think that I do that because I think there's something ineffable and inexplicable about songwriting that really is like magic, something that comes from someplace else that the old school magic, wizards, etc. But then there's also the idea of prestidigitation or sleight of hand, a learned thing. Like you can learn how to do this. You can learn how to get better at it. You can learn how to hide the process to the point where people think that it really is magic, where
it's just alchemy.
Yeah.
But it does require discipline to a degree.
And it requires talking about it and talking about what you've learned through trial and error and sharing things. I learn, when I do these retreats, I learn it's so cliche, but I learn as much from the students as I think they learn from me.
Yep, that's valid. I think that's true. If you're actively engaged in teaching something, you can't help but learn from your subjects. I would love to hear one last song before we let you go.
Yeah, this is going to be, if it's all right with you, and I have not cleared this with ATO Records yet, but this will be a world premiere.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's the opening track on the new album, which drops tomorrow, so nobody's heard this yet, theoretically. The opening track is a song called Falling Down Around You, and I'd love to play it for you.
Gorgeous.
First time ever.
Thanks, Rhett.
Yes.
You're listening to Rhett Miller on KXCI.
Got to dance like the world is falling down around you, because it is, and if you're lucky enough that happiness has found you, you'd better get to dancing as your way of saying thank you. For the spider web of electrical wires, and the patches of the grass that are still green, and the wind that blows the dandelion seeds over everything, and the old brick building they haven't torn down, and the shade beneath the sycamore tree, and the stolen momentary lapse of reason that convinced you to dance with me. You've got to dance like the world is falling down around you, because it is, and if you're lucky enough that happiness has found you, you'd better get to dancing as your way of saying thank you. For the distant, crumbling interstate lanes where the cars still somehow hum, and the cradle of what used to pass for culture, and the cave that we all crawled from, and the nervous hospital long since defunct in the shade beneath the cell tower tree, and the accidental twisted fingers of fate that placed you here with me. You've got to dance like the world is falling down around you, because it is, and if you're lucky enough that happiness has found you, you better get to dancing as your way of saying thank you. You better get to dancing as your way of saying thank you, thank you. Oh.
You've been listening to Rhett Miller live on the home stretch on KXCI. Rhett in town tonight with his band, the Old 97's, celebrating the release of their 13th album, American Primitive, comes out officially tomorrow. Again, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Hannah. That was a blast.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So we are actually at KXCI. We are in the midst of our spring fundraising drive right now. We took a break to have you on. Nice. And I have a question for you related to that, because I'm thinking about how long you have been doing this. You know, you've been an active part of the music business, for lack of a better term, for the last several decades. And you've written a lot about how the industry has changed, the different challenges that you face as a musician. The ecosystem has certainly changed a great deal. I am wondering, throughout the course of your career, what role has an independent radio station like KXCI had on your career as a creative person?
Growing up in Dallas, there was a public listener-supported radio station that was the first radio station that had me on. That was the first radio station that championed my music. And still, to this day, every time I go back through Dallas, I go through and pop on there, and I love it. I love that people are willing to support real music and real people, you know, putting music together. It's funny, when you were playing the Waylon Jennings inspired Megadeth song, at first, because you hadn't told the story yet, I thought, is this AI? You know, because we live in a world where so many things that feel human are no longer human. But what you guys are doing here at KXCI is so fundamentally human and so important. I really feel like now more than ever we need communities like this, like the one you guys have built here, and we have to support them. And if it seems like a lot to give, if you're gonna, you know, throw some money at a station, but to think about the things we throw money at every day that aren't, you know, like adding to the heart of a community, that aren't giving you something that brings you joy in your life. You know, big corporations that we just give $5 and $10 to without thinking. So yeah, I think once you think about that, it would make it easier to give money to KXCI. So I encourage you guys all to do it. Please support this great radio station.
Thank you so much. Hey, have a great show tonight. I know it's going to be wonderful. Weather's perfect.
Love it.
You've got the perfect setting. Again, congratulations on the new album.
Woo!
This has been Rhett Miller live on KXCI. I'm Hannah. You're listening to The Home Stretch. You can make that gift to KXCI right now at kxci.org.